There are two areas where we've seen this at work. First of all, we've got pilots in Peterborough and Doncaster prisons where we've actually been testing out a similar system with current offenders, and I'm encouraged by progress so far in both of those prisons. But more particularly, what I'm trying to do is to capture the skills of the public, private and voluntary sector, and I think particularly some of the big offender charities who I think do really good work and measurable, demonstrable good work in helping turn around the lives of those who have been to prison, have offended. And of course at the moment a large number of offenders, best part of 50,000 each year, are literally walking out onto the streets with £46 in their pockets and getting absolutely no support at all, and nearly two-thirds of them reoffend. Now that seems to me a situation we can't carry on with.
Well, no one would disagree with that point, nor that the charities do good work. That's a bit, you know, apple pie motherhood, isn't it? But Andrew Neilson, Howard League for Penal Reform, on your last point, says your plans represent an admission of the abject failure of short-term prison sentences. Is that not a conclusion you should be drawing?
Well, the Howard League have been long-term opponents of short prison sentences, in fact long-term opponents of prison in most cases. I happen to disagree with them, and of course what they're forgetting is that 80% of the people who end up coming into our prisons have already been through a community sentence, and that's clearly not worked and not preventing them from reoffending. And indeed part of the package we're putting together will be to introduce a rehabilitation element to community sentences as well. Now, the simple situation is that at a time when crime is falling, reoffending rates are rising. And of course every time somebody commits a crime again after leaving prison, that's another victim, and that's what I want to stop.
Let me put to you then the point made by John Harding, who's the Chief Inspector of Probation for Inner London. He's worried that companies will cherry-pick and take the safe options, people less likely to offend, and those who come with difficult, more complex issues, especially given the lack of extra resources, will just get left.
Well, we're being very careful about that. It's one of the areas that was raised with us during the consultation period we've been through. And lots of people think the government consultations don't change anything. Actually, in this particular case, it did. We've decided to take an approach to payment by results, which will mix both overall success in reoffending levels, bringing them down, but also the number of crimes committed by the group of people the providers are looking after. So if you've got somebody who's a prolific offender on your books, and you ignore them and leave them in the corner to carry on burgling houses, you will suffer financially as a result. So by combining those two, I think we've got a sensible mix that means that there won't be cherry picking.